Devil, my friend. Fashion. Things to wear. Possibly faces covered, but more importantly, covering up the bodies. Merch. We have that now. We are very, very excited to announce that Vampire and the Devil have partnered with our friends at Rock and Horror Apparel. They are now taking care of the actual merch, the exclusive merch for the Vampire and Devil podcast, modeled by our very sexy devil right here.
Oh, yeah.
But we have all kinds of goodies to share with you.
Got the hoodies. We got some shirts. We got some tanks coming up. We got some booty shorts. We got all the stuff you want to wear from the Vampire and Devil podcast, thanks to Rock and Horror.
Horns up. Fangs out. Fangs and Infernos. It is time for another segment that we like to discuss, maybe even call Conversations Around the Inferno. Who will burn? Who will survive? Who will have some drinks? Who will stay sober? You know how it goes on this show. Fangs and Infernos, we love you guys. Thank you as always for supporting the show, supporting the guests, and just having a great time. Devil and I always love rocking out, having these great conversations, talking about all the fun things involving horror, involving music, and everything in between. And we are getting our dark metal carnival on when it comes to this one, as we bring in one of our absolute nearest and dearest for their first appearance. Definitely won't be their last appearance, but our dearest Raven Black is joining us right now. Raven, first and foremost, welcome to the Vampire and Devil podcast. And as always, it is so great to see you again, dear. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I missed you guys, and I am so excited to be here. Hi, is it, you said Devils and Infernos?
Fangs and Infernos.
Fangs and Infernos. Hi, Fangs and Infernos.
But as always, it is so great to have you on, and we have fun things to discuss. First and foremost, congratulations are in order for the continued success of Raven's Diary, which has been out for a little while now. But you have also a brand new up-and-coming single coming out very soon for a whole new Raven Black album. So there's so much fun stuff to talk about. And again, congratulations are in order for Raven's Diary, and congratulations for the upcoming single.
Thank you so much. Well, Raven's Diary. it's still going. Such a fluke thing, and it's funny because I was just talking to my producer a couple days ago that the metal community might have been confused because of Raven's Diary, because it was just an album full of ballads, and a lot of people didn't see the posts. You know, if they didn't follow us or know of us in our past, they're probably like, oh shit, you know, did they change? Like, are they like a rock band now, like that does ballads? Has she gone adult contemporary? But no, that was strictly an album I did for my grieving after my father passed, and it was a tribute to him. So even though it was a Raven Black album, but I felt that people needed it, like us metalheads, us Fangs and Infernos, we all suffer depression, loss, grief, and there's just no music like that that's dark and kind of in our vein for those kinds of moments of loss and stuff. So I was like, I felt it needed to be out there. So yeah, that was a special album. But we're getting back to the dark metal carnival now.
Absolutely. And one more real quick touch thing on Raven's Diary. When it comes to somebody like yourself who's very, very in touch with their lyrics, you always have been. You've always put that very much out on Front Street. When it came to, if you don't mind, and I mean this with absolutely the most amount of respect and love, when it came to the grieving process of such a traumatic event, your father, do you find that music, whether it's the heavy factor that Raven Black and their fans are accustomed to, the Rejects, or something that's a little bit more tender, do you find that the writing process and new music can ultimately be one of your biggest beneficiaries to your personal grieving?
It is. Well, in general, music has always been my go-to in any situation for me personally. And that's the whole thing is I had contemplated, do I release this or not? Because it's not a metal album, but, it was one of those things, again, reflecting back to everything my father's ever taught me, growing up, and I was so close to him, was, always follow your heart. You can't go wrong. and my heart told me that people needed these lyrics, people needed this music. And whether you're a metalhead or not, or punk rock, punk, or, whatever it is that you are, even a pop, country, uh, there's a few country fans I made because of the Ballad album. They're saying, You're Gone is a country song, and I was like, well, that was specifically written for my dad. So those lyrics, I think lyrics as a singer and a songwriter, you're like you said, lyrics has always been my forefront thing. And the music, either, the music is to match and deliver it, the emotion. So musically, the emotion is delivered, but the lyrics is the words, the actual feelings that I had. So yeah, definitely helped me with grieving, getting it down on paper, writing it. I mean, every song on that album I wrote with tears. Like I had snot running down my nose onto the paper, and maybe I'll sell that one day if I really need to. But there is actually notebook paper with the lyrics that I hand wrote that are smudged and smeared from tears and snot, but that's what I needed to do for myself. And I think, if you ever go to therapy, sometimes they say to write a journal, things like that. And I guess that was my journal of, during that process. So yeah, so I'm very proud of it. I know it helped a lot of people. A lot of people wrote to me because they knew I felt very vulnerable and very unsure about releasing this kind of music. Being a metal artist, what metal artist, you always want to be so heavy and so dark, but the songs have very dark subjects, and I was very suicidal at the time. So I know a lot of people struggle with that. I countless times have struggled with suicidal thoughts and depression. So I spiraled after my dad, and I wanted to go with him. So writing definitely helped me, and eventually it turned into a melody in my head, and eventually I added instruments, and pretty much I wrote most of that album, myself in a room, with tears and crying, and just a piano loop. And thank God I have great bandmates who know how to take that and turn it into a full song. So yeah, a lot of people messaged me and said it helped them with whatever they were going through. So.
Absolutely. No, 100% for sure. And as we steer it over towards the new single, we got so fun things to talk about with brand new, heavy, dark and black, Raven Black music, of which I'm going to kick it over to Devil shortly to actually break into that segment. But one thing I wanted to ask Raven, if you don't mind, is just a touch back on Raven Black history, because for anybody who's familiar with you or us, as well as people that may not be. So we've known you a long time. Like I said, you're myself and Devil's nearest and dearest. There is history with you and both of our respective other projects that we do when it comes to like the press world that you've talked about a little bit of Raven Black history. But for the Fangs and Infernos that are, new to Raven Black through this show with ours, can you let us know exactly what exactly Raven Black is, how it got started, and what exactly is the Dark Metal Carnival for them?
Okay. Wow, this has been a question I haven't answered in quite a while. But so for all of you new Fangs and Infernos, I'm Raven Black, lead singer of a band called Raven Black. So our theme is a dark metal carnival. And, we're talking about, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's carnival metal music. But if you really look at and listen to all of our albums, there's probably only 2 songs that are really carnival metal, So really the dark metal carnival is really about the storyline, the whole essence of what, if you were to close your eyes and picture yourself attending a dark metal carnival, what do you think you would see? What do you think you would hear? What do you think you would be feeling? Who would you encounter? What experiences would you expect to experience? So all that macabre, that sinistry, the darkness, the unknown, the unexpected, maybe a few scares, something creepy, something eerie, something dark, something heavy, something emotional, something that burns you, something that excites you, something that scares you. So, that's what I pictured a dark metal carnival to be. And so with each band member, with each song, with each album, with each show, we kind of try to bring that experience to you. in that moment. So every song has a story, a piece of the story. And we have a comic book. So it kind of tells you where we came from, how we started, where we came to be. This next upcoming issue, people die. So there's some characters in the storyline that must die. So that's going to be the opening of the next comic book. Is there's going to be some death and some rebirth and some new characters added to the story. So the whole dark metal carnival concept of Raven Black is both musically, visually, sound, emotion, lyrics, everything, all wrapped into one. And it's the unexpected, because when you go to a carnival or a circus, you see clowns, you see zombies, you see vampires, you see the devil, you see elephants, and you see tigers, and you see balloons, but then you also see creepy clowns, but you also see happy clowns, and then you see cute stuffed mascot animals. Like there's cotton candy, there's popcorn, there's also maybe fake cigarettes, from the candy girl. So there's just so much fun. Ultimately, all of it is fun. Ours just is a little darker.
Absolutely, for sure. We love that, definitely. Hey, Devil, my friend, in hell everybody likes popcorn.
Oh yeah, we love the dark, sinister side of it, and that's what like for the for people who are familiar with Raven Black and Raven Black's music, there's always that little touch of little, like you said, the theatrical, the little camp kind of stuff, but there's always been that little glimpse of the darkness that's inside that's kind of poked itself out, and that's what I'm excited about the new chapter of Raven Black, because we got the single and I got to listen to it, and I can't wait for the fuck off single to come out, this Black album. If you're into more darker shit, this is where it's going to go. So talk about like that transitioning from, kind of being this, cute kind of carnival barker that comes to you with their dollhouse and maybe she's going to kill you, but maybe she's not, to this one where Raven's probably going to kill you more than likely on this album.
I can't even. That's making me laugh because I just let one of my best friends preview this second song that's going to be released in April, and I'll give you guys a sneak peek for Fangs and Infernos. It's I love it because it's Fangs and Infernos, which one of the songs in our upcoming album, the Black album, is called Dead, and it is about being a vampire.
Yes.
It's a living dead.
That, Devil.
The chorus ends with "We are living dead." So whether that's a zombie or a vampire, but I for me it was vampire. The listener, you guys might interpret it as being a zombie. It can be a zombie. It can be whatever you want it to be, because music is subjective, right? But it is a power metal song. So that'll be the first power metal coming out of Raven Black, but it was so fun to do. So if you like anything like Dragon Force, Dead is definitely up that alley. So we had a little bit of fun and we said, fuck it. We're going to do what we love and we're going to do what we want. And we want to sing about being, living dead. And then let's go back to Devil here, what he's saying, but the second release that's happening April 13th, the song is called Burn. And it is literally Hell's Inferno. And like you said, I will be killing people. It's actually me, Muppet, and Maisie as the keepers of hell at Hell's Gates. And we're leading everybody to the pit of hell and to the flames. And we're giving them no mercy. And we're smiling while they get taken.
No, that's also so just to be to let everybody know, I allowed them to have the keys to hell, so it was okay. Like we worked out a deal, so we'll see it like that. But that's what I'm saying. Like people who really when they finally get to hear this, especially the first single we're going to talk about, "Fuck Off." People who know you personally, yeah, we know that you have a mouth like a trucker. But on your albums, you haven't really explored that side of it. So talk about how freeing it is to just be like, okay, this is the real Raven Black, and I like to swear. So here's this song that's basically just telling everybody to go fuck off.
Well, so being an artist, I mean, and when you start a band and you start trying to, get your music out there in the world. And everyone in the world is advising you to not have explicit lyrics. Don't curse, you'll get more reach, more people won't ban it, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, well, it's not bad advice, but maybe I'll do that initially, kind of come in and get a temperature, what's going on here, and learning. And we really, all the songs I've written before the Creepy Doll, introducing you all, to who I am. I was the Creepy Doll. I'm half human, half doll. And the doll is just sinister and wicked. She's somewhat evil, she's twisted. And it not because she's evil, but because a lot of shit has happened to her, that has turned her this way to protect herself and others. So in that sense, she's just extremely wicked. But the half human is, of course, I think of it like society, where I feel the first 3 albums really was the more human side of me, with the doll kind of jumping in and going, wait, I'm here, don't fucking forget about me, but then this album, this is the first time we've ever had explicit lyrics, and I really felt free. And I went into this purposefully, just no censorship, no holding back, and letting the doll kind of take the forefront, letting the inner side of me, my inner demons out, all the darkness out, and not kind of what I say, toning it down or kind of keeping it hidden, which is what I've done for the last 10 years, just kind of hidden that, okay, well, we'll be creepy, but we won't get too dark. Like you're saying, she'll take you to your nightmare and she'll haunt you, but she won't actually kill you. Whereas in this album, I actually kill you. And I torture you before I kill you, because you deserve it. And again, a lot of people, and I've said this to the rejects, my fan base, and I hope you guys all become rejects. You're all welcome to become rejects too, as well as being Fangs and Infernos. Everyone is welcome. So, but if you look at it, this Black Album is about finally saying it's okay to kill somebody who deserves to die with no mercy and no regret. So it's in that, and it's fantasy. Do I mean for you to actually go out and kill somebody and commit a crime? Absolutely not. But in the world of music, I always say we're in the 13th hour. So this is our world, the afterworld, the other world, the dark world, where you can fantasize and imagine, if you had the control of karma to actually get rid of the shitty, horrible, evil, bad people, that deserve it, what would you do? And so this album is basically the anthem of that.
Yeah. And when you're going into that too, with being able to just opening yourself up to swearing and stuff like that, when you were writing lyrics, where you were like, okay, that's too many fucks in the song, do I need to cut that out? Or were you just like, hey, I don't give a fuck, if there's 100 fucks in the song, I'm keeping them in?
You know what, I think initially when I was writing, because I free write, I call it throwing up. I just write and I go back and I go, oh wow, there are a lot of fucks. But there was this whole process that I went through when I was finalizing lyrics, is that I said, no, you're in that habit again of censoring yourself. It's not a matter of counting how many fucks that I said, but it's more of, how would you deliver this in real raw life? Like, how would I say, fuck you, you motherfucker? You know what I mean? Like, I would say it just like that. So don't change the lyrics to be different than how I would deliver it in real life. So in real life, I would say, fuck you, you need to suffer. And so that became the lyric, and I kept it that way. There's one line, and it was, I think Ulrich said, you're gonna say fucking, and I said, yeah, I'm not that fucking nice. And I said, yeah, I want fucking. I don't want freaking, or I'm not gonna be nice. I mean, I just, no, there's no sugar. The way I would say it, the way it would roll out of my fucking tongue would be, I'm not that fucking nice. And that's exactly the way I kept it. So I was actually very real and authentic about the lyrics on this album.
And then one of the questions I kind of ask a lot of times too, and since we're still in this hell world right now and talking about death and grime and stuff like that, is there a, if you could choose, I mean, if you want to choose, I mean, I know sometimes people want to keep their mouth shut, but if you could choose one musician to bring back from the dead, but you had to kill a musician to bring that musician back to dead, who would you kill, and then who would you want to bring back?
Well, I definitely know who I would kill, but I'll keep that to myself. But I would definitely bring Prince back.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess for Fangs and Infernos too, if you want to talk about that, because I already kind of knew you were going to choose Prince. For people who haven't maybe doing like that, do you want to kind of explain why you would choose Prince? Because we know, but you can also mention a little bit of that too if you want to.
Prince to me was a legend, and I had the privilege of working with him side by side in the early '90s as a dancer. I was one of his dancers, and watching him rehearse, watching him just as on a professional level, and watching him play his instrument, and then go walk over to the piano, and then he's just amazing musicianship, an amazing professional. People always had this like whole persona of like, oh, he's gonna hit on you. He's like a womanizer. He's all about sex, and yes, he was sexy, but in his own way, so unique. There's no one else like him. There's no one else like him. And that he went from like funk music to like Motown to like, rock. I mean, just so many things. And then like all those things infused together. And he didn't have any limitation. It was just his sound. And I had a lot of respect for that. And I still do to this day. Just the artistry. And also he really maintained his vigilance on the industry, from changing his name to like, just everything. He always stuck to who he was, and didn't let the industry change him. He never changed who he was. He was always going to be him, and they had to fit to him. And I have the utmost admiration for that. And I kind of follow suit to that. I try to stay in that vein too. And we're not a huge band. We probably never will be. But as an artist, this is very important to me to stay with that, genuine authenticity, originality, just really being who I am. So that's why Prince.
Yeah. And then, obviously, before I kick it back to Vampire again, too, we're going to talk, this is a horror podcast, and obviously your love of music and people who have known Raven Black and your theatricals, very dark, very evil, very horror movie type stuff. What were the kind of movies that inspired you as a kid when you watched, and or inspired movies that might have inspired the way that you wanted to portray Raven Black and as a band?
Gosh, I mean, now, my favorite thing right now, and it always has been, and it's my number one favorite movie of all time, is The Exorcist, the original, the very first. And the creepy doll without the peeling, possessed makeup of her face falling apart. But, it's that creepy, the ring. I've been waiting for my hair to grow long again after so many years, to finally have the long jet black, taking it back to Elvira, taking it back to the Munsters. I mean, Frankenstein, all of it. And a lot of the comic book influence of the storyline that I was writing is that I've kind of taken from like the Dr. Heckle, Mr. Hyde, the mad scientist, going back to right now we have one of the songs is This Little Piggy, where we have the wolf, and the three little pigs. But there's a part of the song where, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. And it's, so everything is all interconnected some way, somehow, to some kind of horror, whether it's old school, vintage horror, all the way to current, like Wednesday Addams, you know what I mean? Beetlejuice. I mean, I love it all, but I love Tim Burton as a director, as an artist, as a storyteller. Everything that is creepy and from, anything that is horror related, art wise, movie wise, it's just something that I've always loved since I was a kid. And for the record, I watched Exorcist in the theater when it came out, and I think I was 5 or 6 years old. And I watched that movie in a theater with my older cousin and his girlfriend. They were babysitting us and they weren't supposed to bring us. And my older brother and I went and they told us to cover our faces. And I, of course, was like, you know, sweater down, and I watched it and I was not afraid. And that's the other thing. I mean, talk about uh, a lot of people, when you all see these music videos as these individually get released throughout the next 5 months, I've heard comments, some feedback from a few of my friends that have seen it, and you too will see it before the public probably after this interview. But it was like, people are gonna think you're a Satan worshiper, or like you're a Satanist or whatever, like. And I said, well, I mean, I'll put that out there for the record. I am not a Satanist or a Luciferian. I'm not Catholic. I've already discussed this in the past, but I feel like I need to make it more known now. Is I'm a hybrid. So you'll see it here on my finger. I've got an upside down cross and an upright cross on my finger. I'm a hybrid. I'm of both dark and light. So I am not educated enough to consider myself and identify myself as a Satanist or a Luciferian. And I'm not educated enough to consider myself a Christian or any other religion. And I feel that religion is a practice of faith. And for me, I'm just spiritual. I take from a lot of different religious learning, like what I've learned or been exposed to. And I just gravitate to that particular tradition, or this particular, whether it's Wiccan, Satanism, Luciferian, Catholicism, Judaism, Buddhism. There's so many different things, being the age that I am, that I've been exposed to. So for me, I just consider myself a hybrid. I don't feel that I need to serve any one or the other, but I do know that I consist of both dark and light. So
Yeah.
there it is.
And then one more thing, piggybacking off of the horror movies that we've noticed before, and you could talk a little bit about it. But your band and your music has been in a few horror movies. Talk about having these independent movies, or even mainstream movies and all that. Talk about that process of that people coming to you asking for you to have one of your songs in one of their movies.
Yeah, so the most recent one I posted, and I apologize, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the movie right now, but it's the left something. Shoot, what was it called? I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, but it the most recent, and I'll share it with you so you can put it on your podcast. But this most latest movie, it was about this Argentinian band that traveled, and of course they got into some trouble, but this director has used countless songs of Raven Black in his movies, and he's an up and coming director, and all he does is horror movies. And to hear the placement of our music on the certain scenes, like someone dying or someone getting killed, or this epic moment in the movie when something big happens, our song starts to play, and I'm just like, it's surreal for me. And then in this particular movie, they actually have the band, and I think they named it kind of in tribute to us, called the Ravens, and they actually perform Seven Sins on stage at a concert, at a show, the whole song. And so to see somebody being Muppet, or me, and they used our vocals, like my vocals and our song. So to see them kind of perform that whole song as them as a band was really crazy to me. But they did such an amazing job, and yeah, so it's definitely an honor to see that, and in the fact that we didn't write these songs to be placed in horror movies, but the fact that they are is super fucking cool, because I'm such a horror movie fan, yeah, it's I know the other two titles. It's 100 Candles game is another one that they played, I think Dollhouse, and then I forgot the name of the first one. Is it Red Book? Something Red Book. But I'll give you a list of the names of the movies. I just can't remember them exactly right now. It's been years.
The one that we were just talking about was What the Waters Left Behind, Scars.
What Left Behind, and that it was a really
I have that movie.
Oh God, it's so good. And like, the ending. I'm not going to be a spoiler, but the ending was, I mean, and what they did with our song, I was just like, wow, like my jaw dropped. It was just, the placement is amazing. These directors and the music executives that put that together and kind of time that. It's just, I didn't know our music can do that, to create that extra umph to a scene or whatever, to bring that scene to a bigger place, or it's amazing. And that's what music does. It amplifies things. And I'm honored that they used our music, and apparently they asked for the licensing to all of our music. And I feel like this next album, they're going to ask for the whole licensing again, because there's going to be plenty of songs in this album that will fit a horror movie. I mean, this is probably the darkest, most explicit album that we'll ever put out. You know what I mean? And then we've got 2 ballads on it. So, it's 2 ballads, but it tells a story. So, when you're listening, I always tell everybody, listen to our album from start to finish, because it takes you on a journey, and it always does. I always purposely put you on a journey of ups and downs, because that's how life is. And so that you'll kind of understand my psyche of these lyrics of, why do you go from a song like this and then go to Burn, where you're taking everybody to the pits of hell with no mercy? Well, the song before that, something must have happened for you to get to that point. So every song lyrically connects itself to the next.
Awesome. Good there, Vamp.
Absolutely, man. No, for sure. And being that you are a horror movie person and love The Exorcist and do love Tim Burton, a quick question for you, Raven, is have you seen The Exorcist 167 times, and does it keep getting funnier every single time you see it?
167 times. Why that number?
Because it's my Beetlejuice reference from when Beetlejuice says he saw the movie. He's seen The Exorcist 167 times.
No, I have not seen it, and I don't remember that line. That's probably. I've probably seen it at least in my lifetime. Remember, I'm 54 years old, and I probably watched it just last year again. It's an annual thing, so at least 54 times.
No.
At least. No. I'm 54 years old, so at least 49 times.
So now you being an Exorcist fan, and I know you've toured around this area, have you gone to the stairs yet? No, that's the next time you come around this area, we're taking you there.
I just moved back here, but we are always so busy doing music stuff that we hardly ever have time to go do our own little adventures. But that's going to change. So Ryan and I, partially why we moved here to Ohio and living here now, is so that we can actually go do things like that. I think we're going to try to do some kind of a haunt ghost tour next year when the weather's good, like probably spring or early summer, where we're going to do one of those, like Raven Black goes on a ghost adventure or haunt adventure. So that would probably be on my list to definitely go see. But I think it'll be something fun. I am trying to build a podcast for next year. I'm working on building it this year to launch probably in December or January. So where I talk about just crazy shit. And I don't know the title of my podcast yet, but it's basically the unmentionables. So things that people just have a hard time talking about. I'm going to talk about it.
The nobodies.
Yep. Oh, that's actually good. Yeah, that actually might be a good one. Yeah, I haven't decided on the title yet. I might call it Hush Hush.
Nice. No, that's super duper. That's super duper cool.
Like that? Hush?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's like hush hush. Don't
Hush,
talk
hush.
about it.
Well, maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Mm-hmm.
But also for anybody who's familiar with Raven Black, that's already fans of the band, as well as the Fangs and Infernos that are going to go right out to start learning about your band, is you guys are, of course, very Halloween eccentric. You guys also love Halloween in general. You're known for Halloween shows. You're known for Halloween tours when when the openings are available, if you're not already doing tours of your own. And not that long ago, you guys had a little fun with you being a Tim Burton fan, and that you guys did put out your own rendition of This Is Halloween. First and foremost, are you a fan of A Nightmare Before Christmas? And second of all, what was it about This Is Halloween that you guys felt you wanted to put your own Raven Black spin on it?
Definitely a Tim Burton fan. Definitely a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas and anything Tim Burton. I mean, Corpse Bride, all of it, you name it. Frankenweenie. I mean, I watched that. That's probably on my playlist. Like, you know, your my stuff on my Prime or whatever. Like, I have every single one of those movies, and I have my own playlist. And I probably watch those movies at least once every 2 months. Like, you know, it's just on. It goes back to back. You know, it just plays. So definitely why we wanted to do that. We were just coming out of a hiatus, you know, and COVID and all that stuff. And we were like, well, we need to work on our new album, but, you know, we want to release something for Halloween. And everyone was like, you need to do a Halloween cover song. You need to do something. And I was like, you know what? The only song I would want to do right now is This Is Halloween. And we ended up having that Halloween show with the theme of This Is Halloween. So I said, we're going to do that song for the show. And we got in the studio, got the approval from David Ellefson. Is it Ellefson?
Elfman.
He approved it. Yeah. So he approved it for the publicity rights. And so we got in the studio right away and we did it. And we were like, you know what? We're not going to backtrack all these different vocals. Ryan and I wanted the challenge of doing every single character vocal. And it was so much fun. And yeah, I mean, all the vocals, all the different voices in that whole track is just me and Ryan. We're all different, you know, so, you know, all the little operatic, like, in this town, and it's all me, you know, like, and the funny thing is the very ending, if you really listen closely, the la la la's at the very end, the really high ones, everybody thinks is me, but it's actually Muppet.
Oh, wow.
And the low, la, 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 and he's doing la, la. That's all Muppet. It's so, yeah. So we had a lot of fun with it, and we actually have a video of the recording of that when we were making that. So we might put that out this Halloween, you know, just for fun's sake, so you guys can see the behind the scenes of the making of that. I think that'll be fun. You guys will laugh at us.
Oh, I'm definitely look forward to that for sure. That would be super cool when that thing came out. And that Halloween show was such a blast. I mean, Devil and I came up for that one. You know, we cruised up to Michigan for that one through some rain and through some snow. And obviously, of course, that show took place in Michigan, which is going to be like in December. It's going to be so cold regardless. But man, it was cold.
Yeah, it was really cold and dangerous. And it, you know, I think that's partially why this year for our Halloween show, we're going to do it in Ohio. Just there's a lot more. It's just an easier drive. I mean, Ohio gets snow and everything too, but there's a lot more clear roads and like a lot. Michigan is a little bit more rural in some of the areas, so like the snow isn't plowed, the roads aren't as clear. It just gets really dumped on. Whereas where we're at and where we're planning to have a Halloween show is a little bit more city, more concrete jungle. So it'll be a little bit safer and easier to get to. Yeah. So yeah. Look forward to it. It'll not be on the 31st because I think Halloween Light falls on a Friday this year. So we're going to do it Saturday, November 1st, so that everybody has the weekend and can schedule, you know, time off work to make the travel. But we want everybody to come to our special Halloween show. This year will be special because we're kind of trying to plan it out as more of a festival. Okay. So bands starting a little earlier in the day and going to midnight. So people can get there and get inside early, you know, and kind of enjoy a whole festival. And it's going to be called the Dark Metal Carnival.
Oh, nice.
Very, very cool.
I got something that.
And again, you're known for those Halloween shows. You're also known for those Halloween tours. And being that now we've talked a little bit about you playing out this year, let's just talk a little bit about this year, of course, based completely around what you're even allowed to tell us. Of course, we understand that certain things you can talk about versus other things you probably can't talk about. But it is early enough, Raven, in 2025 to where can you let the Fangs and Infernos and the rejects that are watching, let them know like what they can know about versus what they may get to look forward to later this year?
Okay. So there's been only one announcement so far, and that is Rockfest. So it'll be our first appearance ever at Rockfest this year, and that's July 16th. It's the Wednesday night. I think Born of Osiris is headlining with Killer's Confession. We're on there with them. We think we play at 6:45 p.m. on Wednesday in Wisconsin. So it's Cat at Wisconsin, Rockfest, first year. That'll be our first live appearance this year in 2025 with new music. Nice. So pretty exciting. It's going to be a different show. I mean, everyone, if you've seen us ever at a show, you know that I'm infamous for my stage props. There will be brand new props, and obviously a new look. I am not going to be wearing my traditional, baby doll dress. I think I'm going to be a little bit more tomboy, a little bit more sinister, so I can get a little bit more involved with the crowd. So that is one thing to look forward to. And then, not to say that the dresses will go away, but I may have a costume change. I'm not sure, but it'll be a quick one, kind of like a quick, take off of something, but nothing where I'd have to go into, side stage or anything like that. But definitely new show. And then we have 2 more upcoming festivals in the summer and early fall. So those will be announced when I think one of them is getting ready to announce pretty soon. So everyone will know about it soon. And then the third one, I don't know when they normally announce. So those are definitely, confirmed. So we have 2 more festivals. One is in the Midwest and the other one is in the South. So we're covering a little bit more ground for people to get to us. We are not going to be doing our traditional Halloween tour this year. We usually do it all of October leading up to the Halloween show. But this year we are going to be doing a international tour, and I'll leave it at that come the fall, late fall. Nice. So we'll be out of the country this fall. But we are going to do that big Halloween festival.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Speaking of festivals.
Yeah, it's going to be our festival.
Yeah.
So my plan right now that I can share is that I am trying to book basically all dark metal carnival themed bands.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Speaking of festivals that just kind of appeared out of nowhere all of a sudden, I want to know whether or not you're going to try to bid yourself onto it. But apparently the rumors are that Mayhem Fest is doing a coming back, and it's going to be all female fronted bands. Are you guys planning on trying to bid yourself maybe?
I am sure that we are going to possibly put our name in that as far as submission. I don't know what the dates are. I know that it was just talked about recently, but they did say 2025. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's going to conflict with any of the other dates where we're already involved in something. But if it is something we're available for, we would be honored. I mean, obviously, I'm so excited about it. It's a big deal, and I hope. All I can do is hope that we would be added to that list one of these days. If not this year, next year.
Yeah, and speaking of that too, with it being considered a female fronted festival, and you've had other musicians like Butcher Babies and stuff like that talk about how they really don't like that wording. What's your take on people considering you a female fronted band?
I've never minded it. I mean, I know there's several artists that have really kind of bashed that ideology, like you're saying. I know sometimes like Butcher Babies, I know Tatiana from Ginger, she wanted to be considered part of, the male, in the prog metal scene. They just don't like it. I've never had an issue with it. Call me whatever you want. I am just what I am. I think I've joined every group that's female fronted and on Facebook, on social media. They push a lot of female fronted bands. I mean, I support everything, whether it's female or not. You know what I mean? I don't really look at it as a gender thing at all.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, when Devil and I came up for your the kind of return off hiatus, Michigan Metal Fest that you guys did when it was your show for Halloween. It was a great lineup, all female fronted when it came to that, and still bands that Devil and I enjoy to this day because they're all like so cool, so fun. We were treated so well by your colleagues and your peers. And some of those bands I was seeing for the first time, and they were all just really, really genuine and very, very cool. So that was also a really, really cool experience as well. But Raven, there's also one thing I kind of wanted to jump back on as well with the announcement of Rockfest, and that you're going to be out live finally with this new music for the first time when it comes to this year. So you've been able to play and tour out. The last time that Devil and I got to see you was at Love Drafts, and that was a great time and super duper fun. But let's talk a little bit about the current lineup of Raven Black. And there's a place I'm going when it comes to this is you've been, rocking out with Maisie for a while now, and she's absolutely fantastic. And one of the reasons I'm kind of going into it this way is anybody who's simply familiar with Raven Black history also knows that you guys are very character oriented and care very much about the development of those characters, whether it was official members or members that, toured with you guys during different changes and whatnot. When it comes to Mazzy, of course, being in the band and being your guitar player and having a character all of her own, how did you look at something like that, considering there's always been a, persona to your character personally, to Muppet, as well as some history in the band when it came to creations? How do you look at members joining the band now and moving forward?
So of course, we always had the storyline from the comic book, and we had two characters that I created called the Doctor and Stitches, and of course they're going to be killed. Everybody knows they're going to be killed in the next comic issue. So that's not a spoiler really, because it needs to be done. They're no longer members of the band, but they took on those personas obviously as musicians in real life. But the characters themselves, every story always has an evolution. So the storyline with me going back to hell looking for my diary was set up obviously for Raven's Diary, the album. And that was already in the works at the time. So going into this new and third comic book story, when it came to Maisie, and of course, as a person, as a musician, as a friend, she toured with us, and we got to know each other. We just hit it off from the very beginning. She's an amazing person. And I think her in itself, she has her own project. She has Maisie 666, and her music is very not, it's not Raven Black. It's not metal. But it's a brilliant, and it's catchy, and it's fun. And I've always said I love all kinds of music. I don't just listen to metal music. So with her, getting to know her and getting to know who she is as a person, as a musician, as an artist, I also felt that she brought something unique and very amazing to what Raven Black is already. And like navigating that, I sat down with her and I said, well, you have your own persona, you have your own character, and I'm writing this comic book, and I want to write your character into the story. So, who are you? Who do you want to be in this character, in this comic book story of Raven Black? And she said, well, initially on tour, she was really loving being the evil panda, because I have fuck off panda, right?
Yep.
And that is so, and I said, and the whole thing panda is that it is so cute. If you know anything about panda bears in real life, they're so adorable, so cute, eating bamboo, rolling around, but they're also one of the most vicious of all the bears, although they look so cute. So I said, well, that was kind of like the whole persona of me. Like, yeah, we look very sweet and cute, but don't mistake in that, I could be extremely fucking vicious if you fuck with me. So, or somebody I care about. So that again is that dark, sinister side that all will be revealed in this next album. That I'm not that very nice, I am very nice, by the way, but there's a side of me that is not very nice. I'm a good person, not always nice. So she was like, well, I kind of want to be the evil panda. She wants to be an evil panda demon. And I said, well, the fact that you're, half Chinese, you're a Chinese American, and I'm, French and Vietnamese. I said, we have Asian background. And there's a lot of if you know anything about Asian folklore, in Chinese folklore, they have like the fox demon, the snake demon. Like there's this folklore of the gods. And of course, I love fantasy, of course, and that falls right into horror. So I said, when we're coming up and building this character for you, you can be, a panda demon, right? We can create that, and again, we're just all live in hell. But the whole opening, and you might probably appreciate this more, Infernos, or Devil, but I think you will too, Fangs and Jay. But in hell, the whole storybook, the whole comic book storyline was that we were escaping hell. We were trying to find our way out of hell. And at the end of the second comic book, we made it out of hell. We got out of the gates of hell and we killed Cerberus, right? And we went to this huge, beautiful castle. And it was like our saving refuge. And we were greeted by the king and the queen and all these guards, right? And that's when I realized I had lost my diary. I misplaced it. I don't know what happened to it. And that's when I ran back through the gates of hell by myself. And you see the last page of our comic book is me running towards the gates of hell. Muppet is right behind me. And Stitches and Doctor are at the door of the castle. So was that intentionally done? No. It was, but it wasn't. And the funny thing and the irony about that is that it was done not knowing that Doctor and Stitches was no longer going to be a part of the next comic book. They were just waiting there. But how I'm going to start the new comic book story is obviously now I'm in hell. Muppet chased after me. And we meet Maisie back in hell. Nice. So now, and then the whole discovery of the third comic issue is that I realized that I should have never escaped hell. That's where I belonged. That was my home. And the castle was all a facade. Not everything that looks pretty and is clean and fresh is good for you. Yeah. It's fake. It's fake. It's actually there to take everything from you. So you're actually more protected in the hell that you live in. Because that's where all the real people are. The people that are suffering with you. That are not judging you. That are not trying to use you. So there's a whole moral to this next third comic book of, although we sometimes feel in life that we live in a hell, it is our hell. It is our own hell. But if that's what your reality is, that is your reality. But you can still find help in that, in your own world. And to look at anything fake or facades that are fake and not really meant to help you, that's deceit, in itself. What's pretty and shiny isn't always good for you.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of almost leads into, like, even with the comic booky and going into movies and stuff like that, even though it's not really particularly considered a horror film, because by far it's not, but The Wizard of Oz, I mean, you look at The Wizard of Oz, the wizard was not a good person at all, like, deceiving
her. Look at, if you watched Wicked, Wicked. And you have to make choices, right? You have to make choices. So ultimately, you could be a good person trapped in hell, but then you can also embrace that hell and find refuge there. So what I've discovered, and it's like I said, why I'm a hybrid is I belong in hell. That's where I need to be. That's my home. But I think about it, and you'll see it depicted in some of these videos, is that I consider myself in real life, I'm a dark, I guess, guardian for those who need me.
Yeah.
That's my purpose here. Because the thing is, you can't send a white angel to talk to people who are suffering in hell, because the white angel doesn't know what it's like in hell.
Yeah.
It's just like drug addiction. You talk to a drug addiction therapist. I went through that. I went through rehab. And I was talking to the clinic, the clinician or whatever, the doctor or the nurse or the therapist. And it was like, you don't understand what's going on in my mind right now. You don't know what the fuck is going. Do you know that I'm hearing voices right now? Then they're telling me to fucking kill you and strangle your fucking throat? No, you don't. You know what I mean? Because I'm tweaked out of my fucking mind and I'm coming down, right? And I've got all these voices and schizophrenia happening here. I said, but you don't know that. And you want to give me these other drugs, prescriptive, to help me with, but that's going to fuck me up even more because all it does is suppress shit, right? It's going to alter my fucking brain activity so that it covers it up, but it doesn't help me. It doesn't help me overcome my addiction or my trauma or my depression or whatever the fuck it is I'm dealing with. So these are the things like, I mean, I can go really deep into this shit, but bottom line is, I feel that my purpose here lyrically as an artist, as a person, is to live in hell because I understand it and I know my way around. And I'm here to help everyone that's in this hell with me to find peace.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Nope.
yeah. I mean, even with speaking with that too, you know what I mean? Other projects that you've done, that's pretty much almost a good segue of you talking about that depression and stuff like that. Talk about, doing when you turned 50, you decided to put out a book, and it was a very autobiographical book that talks about a lot of really hard subjects. How was it like, writing that stuff? And did, like you said, with the music being therapeutical, was it therapeutical to kind of go back and just kind of let those words flow and let people know about that kind of side of you and this, all the dark stuff that happened to you?
So my 50 book, my autobiography, was always something that I was going to do no matter what, whether I was a musician or not. So had I never even started the band, I would have done that book anyhow. Because for me, it was about just putting an imprint in this life, my life, and sharing my story for anybody else who may have gone through the same things and know that it's okay. Like you could have been through molestation and rape and drug addiction and all these things. And you could still go and pursue your dreams. You could still go and try to do something else different in your life. So that's why the book was put out. I'm hoping I live till I'm 66. So that'll be my next book. So at 66, because of 666, obviously, maybe I'll do 66 and 6 months old. That's how I am 66.6 years old. I just want to talk about, because again, you would think by the time you're 50, or I'm 54 now, that, you finally can have some fucking peace and not go through shit. But it doesn't. It's constant. It's just new shit. So every year of your life, you're going to experience new shit. But what you got to realize at some time in your life, it's like a light bulb turns on where you're like, you start to not give a shit about shit. And that's the light bulb that I wish I want to share with everyone. And that's the whole point of this whole book, the album, the comic book, is to just kind of create something tangible that people can read, listen to, fucking mosh to, work out to, fucking cry to, fucking puke to, like whatever the fuck, trip to, whatever it is that you are doing, that you can see that you're not the only one that has those thoughts or wondered about that or are curious about. But like, it's just my story, it's not fact. It's not preaching. It's just, this is the shit I fucking experienced in my life. And I'm going to share with you just in case it helps you. And if it doesn't, and you just think it's entertainment, that's fucking great too. But if somewhere in there, one of these songs turns that light bulb on for you, that was intentional.
Yeah.
From my heart to yours, it was intentional. It was intentional. Everything I write is intentional. Everything I put out is intentional, from the heart. And that's just what I wanted to leave on this earth. In this lifetime, I don't know how the fuck long I'm going to live, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to just make my mark, I guess, like leave my shit, leave my essence in this world. And when I'll go on to the next life, and I'll probably do the same shit. Who knows? You know what I mean? I've had these conversations with Satan and God. I said, look, I'm like, why do I have to serve either one of you? Like, what's the fight? Aren't you? I think they're one and the same. depending on what the circumstances. You know what I mean? I think that it's all encompassing. That's what I feel at my age and everything I've gone through, because I've gone through the darkest moments where I was at the end of my life, and I looked and Satan was talking to me through a mirror. Now, is that a hallucination, being a fucking tweaker? Could be, but it was real to me at the fucking time. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was real to me at the fucking time. And I had a conversation and I said, well, you want my soul, right? He was saying, I want your soul. And I said, but I can't give it to you because I still need it. Now, and I was crazy. I mean, I was tweaked out of my fucking mind, talking to a fucking mirror and talking to Satan directly. You know, what did he look like? He looked like what we think. Yeah. You know, his whole face was fucking red. He was bald, had horns. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And I'm telling you, there's, as an artist myself, you know, it's taken over generations and generations historically, right? What the devil looks like, right? There's some similarity in all of them. Yes.
And one other thing, Raven, about the book that I always really love too is, like, I mean, anybody, again, that's already familiar with the records, yourself or the people that are going to be learning as well and becoming fans, is you've always been very numbers oriented. You've also always believed that, like, there's certain numbers, certain significances, and certain reasons that they're kind of like, you know, highlighted or exclamation pointed or things like that. And one of the things I love about your book is it highlights specific years of your life. And don't get me wrong, anybody who's read autobiographies, that's probably not specifically uncommon that the writer is, you know, highlighting specific years of their life to tell the story of their life. But you also chose not to do chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. It's chapter this year of my life, and the next chapter is this year of my life. So it's like 1, 7, 12, 25.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what was it about you writing it that way, where instead of still doing chapter 2 about when you were 7, you just doing specifically like 7 for 7? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it was the whole book for my autobiography was the turning points of my life. So that's why, like, from like chapter 1, and I don't even think I had a chapter 1. It was an intro. Yeah. So it's just like a intro, and then I went straight to chapter 6, I believe. And that was my first turning point in my life that I could remember, was when I was molested at 6 years old. So I felt like that was a big turning point in my life of who I am, what changed me, you know, that first change, right? As a child, an innocent child at 6 who didn't understand what happened. And then it goes to 13, you know, when I attempted my first suicide. I was 13 years old. I was like a baby, but I attempted suicide and I landed in the hospital getting my stomach pumped. Like, what happening? What was I thinking? And then from there, I was a cutter, you know, till 16. And then 16 happened. And I was abused by my very first boyfriend, beaten up, and didn't understand why and if it was normal or not. I knew there was part of me that was like, I knew this isn't normal, you know, but I was too afraid. Then you go to 18. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm 18 and I understand that's not okay. I'm not supposed to be hit by my boyfriend, you know, like, wait a second. So you start to mature, you start to learn your own identity and figuring out what's right and wrong. I mean, I knew it was wrong, but I didn't know what to do about it. And I feel like if I had books or autobiographies or music songs that had lyrics of people who've been through that same shit, maybe I could have avoided those things or figured out and avoided going through that, you know. So that's part of the reason why I write the lyrics that I do, is somewhere along the way there's this 15-year-old or 13-year-old or 14-year-old, 16-year-old gonna listen to this cool heavy metal creepy doll song and go, you know what, I like this boy and he started to like not act nice to me, and there's something familiar about those lyrics. And you know what? It's not okay. And get themselves out of that situation instead of staying in it and enduring it for 3 or 4 years. So like it's an underlying intentional thing, but it's also just the music for entertainment too. So
For sure.
it's double. See, this is what people don't understand why I'm so intense about Raven Black and about what I've created is there's so much more personal in meaning to me to what we do. It's not just like this whole gimmicky, oh, we're going to be fun Halloween band and we're going to be cool and just have fun. And there's a lot more to it for me personally, you know. But I also want to make it fun and quirky and exciting too. So you can just go and, you know, mosh to it or dance to it or sing along to it. So it's meant to be both. And then again, it's that hybrid. It's a balance, right? To some people, it saves their life.
Absolutely. No, 100%. And there's one more thing I want to discuss in this segment, and then Devil, I'm going to kick it back over to you, brother, so go ahead and pick it up after this, is I like that as a segue to where I wanted to go, because I wanted to bring it back to the Black Album. And I also love something that Devil brought up earlier with the Wizard of Oz and kind of looking behind the curtain. So I'm asking a little bit to peek behind the Raven Black curtain when it comes to the Black Album, which is simply, we've talked, you know, extensively about your lyrical process, you know, how deeply you think about the way moments affect your life. Like you said, you've put it to pen to paper for lyrics, for songs. You've put it pen to paper for a book. And now you're putting it pen to paper again for a personal tribute to your father that we had already talked about in Raven's Diary, and now a much more angry, aggressive, brand new Raven Black album, you know, in the Black Album. What can you tell us about what you were crafting in this album? Is it stories throughout your life? Is it things that have happened more recently? Because it has been a little while since The Key, not counting Raven's Diary, of course, because I know that was a personal project for yourself. But if I'm specifically looking at your Raven Black albums of the heavier nature, it's been a little while since The Key. So looking into the Black Album, how have you been crafting that? What have you been thinking about? Personal stories from your life to things that are more recent? What can you tell us about the way your brain worked a bit for this record?
Okay, so you know, the Black Album was, you know, partially the whole grieving process. Like they say, there's the 5 phases of grief, right? Or, you know, healing. You go through the denial, you know, and you go through sadness, sorrow, right? Loss. Then you go through the depression or whatever, and then at the very end, there's like the anger before acceptance, right? And what I had realized, kind of being in that isolated depression that I was in for that year after my dad passed. And really the awakening that happened to me when I was suicidal and I wanted to follow him. I just went to a really dark place, you know, every single dark part of me came to the surface. Every bad, horrible thing that has ever happened in my life came to the surface, you know, during that. Like I said, I spiraled into my depression. I had my depression managed for many, many years, you know, and remember, during the time that I was grieving after my dad passed away November 15th of 2021. And I was being trolled and I was being cyber stalked and I was having people interrupt my live feeds as I was trying to grieve and move on and still do music and still be connected to the rejects and still do what I'm doing on social media. I was being kicked while I was down. These horrible people, you know, just not treating me as a fucking human being, you know, no condolences, no humanity, you know, just like, oh, fuck it, you know, and it's just hatred. It's revenge. It's hatred. It's ugly. Right. And I couldn't talk about it. And I wasn't in no condition, not emotionally, not mentally, not physically, to endure that kind of beating, that kind of an attack, you know. I was focused on my family and the loss of my father and my own family, my husband, myself, my own health. And so I just refrained. I refrained from everything and tried to keep it together. But that's the spiral that I had when I was alone in the dark. And my husband was grieving on his own. He was very close to my father, So Muppet was going through his own grieving process as a man, and men handle it completely different. His grieving process completely different from my grieving process. So we were separated, not being able to be there for each other. And we've always been together in everything. So I had to give him the space to grieve the way he needed to. And I needed my space to grieve the way I needed to. And in that process, the everything and being kicked. I mean, you got to think when you're down like that and you're getting kicked and attacked, whether it be socially, on social media or in person, it's the same. It's suffering, right? You're suffering and people are still attacking you. That built a lot of anger and resentment at the time. But because I unleashed, it touched into my anger, that released years of anger that I have put away. What do we do when we get angry and we can't do anything about it? We put it away.
We bottle it, yeah.
We bottle it up and we lock it up in a cage. And that's why when you started seeing some of the things that I was putting out, like Raven's Cage, all that stuff that I was doing, it was me expressing these little moments of, if you listen to Raven's Diary and you listen to the song Purge, I said, I looked in the mirror and I found a key and I unlocked the cage and now I'm free. So that was really me telling you the story of what I was going through, as I all the dark anger and everything came out. And not only that, but there was a beautiful part of it that my dad, now whether I was hallucinating again in my depression, I could hear my dad talking to me going, don't let them get to you. He was still there, a voice of strength throughout my whole life was, you get the fuck up and you fucking tell them to the fuck off. You stand up and you don't fucking let people talk you down. You don't fucking let people get away with shit. You don't let fucking people kick you, especially when you're down. You kick back. And my dad has always trained me like to be protective of myself, to stand up and say something. So I was not in that mental or physical state of mind though. So all of that was just this energy and this dark, and all my dark energy, anything that could protect me, came to the surface. And then all of it unleashed everything. Years of trauma from age 6 to now, things I never dealt with. And I wrote it all down in the Black Album. So it's all this is why Fuck You is such a profound song for me, is I'm finally saying it out loud in your face. Fuck you. You know what I mean? And everybody knows Fuck Off Panda came out 2 years ago because it was all of that, me reconnecting with all of what my dad had taught me, raised me to be, going, what happened to me? What happened to the 25-year-old me that was like, fuck you, fuck everybody, get the fuck out of my face, don't fucking come at me. Like, I was such a terror when I was in my mid-20s. But it was after the last trauma that I had, where I was raped, and I said, no more. No one's fucking coming near me ever again. You know what I mean? And it took me a long time to trust. And then I was in a relationship with a woman for very many years. I didn't trust men anymore. I didn't trust people anymore. And I kept everybody at a distance.
Nice.
Until,
Sure. And
yeah.
So here's an interesting question for you, Raven, and then Devil, take it away, my friend. Answer it as you will. If anybody listening to the Black Album is looking for something in your lyrics, will it be found?
What do you mean looking for something? What are they looking for?
Exactly. Who knows? If anything could possibly be found, could it be found? Or is the thing about lyrics that makes them so great is that It's up for interpretation.
Correct. So I've always written about my traumas.
Mm-hmm.
Every album, from the first song, Seven Sins, you know, Seven Sins will lead you back to me, right? Um, Spider, I mean, Dollhouse, you know, like every fucking song I've ever written was about answering to the things that you do wrong, right? Whether it's to yourself, to fucking God, to Satan, you have to answer to your shit. This album is no different.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's just angrier. Because and that's the thing is people are like, well, why do you have to be so angry? Because I'm fucking angry. Because I never got to be fucking angry. Because of people like you who are asking why the fuck I'm angry. Because of you, I said, okay, I won't act angry. I'll just okay, I won't act angry because it's obviously people are uncomfortable with it, so I'm just not gonna act angry. And you fucking add fucking 40 years of that right now. I'm fucking very angry. You know, and I'm not letting those people ask me anymore. Why do you have to be so angry? Because people did some shit to me. Because people violated my trust.
Yep.
People lied to me. Because people treated me like shit. People took advantage of me. You know, my kindness, my heart. I'm done with it. And you don't fucking like it, get the fuck off my fucking page. That's how I am now. I'm 54. I don't give a fuck if you think I'm crude. I don't give a fuck if you don't like my music. I don't give a fuck if you don't like my makeup. Get the fuck off my fucking page.
Yeah.
Go the fuck away. Live your fucking life. Let me live mine. Fuck off. That's what.
Yeah, especially because, you know, like, especially in the music industry, too, it's so weird because, like, yeah, I don't want you to be angry, but then they want you to do angry songs. I mean, even, you know, somebody who is in the, you know, in the genre with Maria Brink, a lot of people, their number one song is Whore, which is a very, you know, it's an angry song. You know, it's a very angry song, and that's like one of their biggest hits. And it's like they would have told her, like, oh, don't be angry. It's like, well, that's the reason why I'm angry is because of men like you telling me not to be angry.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, what I don't understand is why people have such a fucking problem. Like, I've been hashtagging when I share my little thing right now on, like, the Women of Metal and Queens of Metal and all these different social media groups. I'm putting hashtag girls say fuck too. Like, where have you been?
Yeah.
You know, like, and honestly, women should say fuck off more. We should be more crude because you know what? We'd be less exploited. And you know, the thing is, like, what really fucking gets me pissed off, what really fucking gets under my skin is when people go, well, you know, you're fucking bisexual, or oh, well, you're hot and you dress like that, and so you want this attention. No, just because I want to fucking, and I don't even dress like that, but I have friends that do. But if I go fucking put on something sexy, it's because I want to feel sexy and I want the attention from certain people. Okay? And unless I invite it from you and I flirt with you and I fucking come over and touch you and get into your personal space and invite you into my personal space, don't fucking come into my personal space. You're not invited. You know, it's not a fucking open invitation because I wear something sexy. Get it through your fucking head, you know? Guy or girl. Women exploit people too. There's fucking shitty women out there too, not just men. Like, this is not a genre thing. This is, Jay, have you not fucking been hit on a fucking female that's drunk, that's fucking hanging all over you? Ever? That was uninvited? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, it happens to everybody. It's not a genre. It's not men or women. It's personal fucking space. You know?
Yeah.
This is part of the reason why I never fucking did a whole, you know, sexy outfit shit for the band. You know, my whole thing was more about the music and the lyrics, and I want you to focus on the lyrics and the story and the whole theme. I don't want you to worry about my tits and my ass. Yes, I have tits. Yes, I have a fucking ass. You know what I mean? People fucking coming to me and you're not using your pussy power, you'll sell more records. You know, if I wanted to use my pussy power, I'd do porn and make way more money. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't understand that fucking statement. You know what I mean? But the thing is, like, I'm so tired of people having that question. Why are you so angry? I'm angry because you're asking me that fucking question right now.
Yeah.
Anger is a human emotion. Women are humans. Men are human. We're all human. Anger is not only for some certain species. It's a human emotion. I'm human. I need women were raised to not be angry, be nice, be nurturing, be gentle. No, we need that because that's the only way we can protect ourselves.
Yeah.
To get angry, if somebody violates your space, you need to be angry and you need to say, fuck no.
Yeah.
You know, you need a voice, you need that voice. So,
I
yeah.
literally, I literally came back from the supermarket today and I was telling Mrs. Vamp I came back all irritated because like I was simply trying to go in to mind my own business and handle my shit, and this person was in my space, getting in my way, not letting me do what I wanted to do, and I came back like all irritated because of it, because I was like, if you want to discuss something or ask me something, do it from right there because I can hear you just fine. Don't stop my trajectory of motion from doing things because of your personal gain. And I came back so irritated from the supermarket. So I definitely understand where you're coming from, let alone on a much more impactful level, like what you just said, with everything that you go through, looking the way you do, but doing the kind of music that you do, so it's definitely very, very clear and understandable.
Well, I don't want people to think that I'm against it. Like I have a ton of friends that work in the sex field, and or are strippers or whatever. I just went on tour with Little Miss Nasty. I mean, it's like I went on tour with them. We're like, well, why? Because you're a metal band. Like they're not even a band. And I said, because it's women's empowerment. That's why I support it, because I'm all about females finally being okay with being sexy. You know what I mean? It's okay to be sexy. It's okay to show your tits. They're fucking beautiful, right? And just because I'm bisexual does not mean I'm a swinger. Just because I'm bisexual doesn't mean I'm promiscuous. I'm extremely picky. I'm extremely picky with the women that I have sexual relations with, and that's my private personal business, you know. And that's the thing, is like I don't need to announce about my sexuality. I don't need to announce anything about my private life. I just need to share with you music and art and the story behind it and how I make it and whatever else you want to know about the music. You know what I mean? I'm a musician. And if you want to know me more as about my private life, become a part of my private life. You guys know me as friends. That's a whole different thing. You got to earn that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I have everybody in my life, and there's some people that are in my life that I share personal, private things about myself. But it's just I want this album to help anyone, female or male, find their voice. It's okay to say fuck you. It's okay to wish for people to burn in hell. You know what I mean? Right? It's okay to want to torture somebody for what their wrongdoing is. They deserve to be tortured. And it's all fantasy, obviously. I mean, this is fiction, you guys. Now, we can touch upon my spirituality.
Fictional characters.
I believe in karma. And I wrote karma letter in my diary album. I said, "Dear karma, where the fuck are you?" You know what I mean? Like, get with it, right? But I want them to suffer the consequences of their actions, and I'm not going to do it with my own hands because I'm not going to jail. I'm not a criminal, But there's nothing wrong with me wishing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now going, like I said, speaking of of the new music, because we haven't got a chance to listen to the full album and know. So I'm kind of curious whether it's in this album or maybe in albums to come future. But you've also talked about the bond that you had with your father and your Asian heritage and having Maisie in the band. Are you guys planning on doing some stuff that brings out a lot of that kind of Asian culture and stuff like that, to kind of like say, hey, we're proud of our heritage and this is what we're into?
No, I don't foresee us doing anything that's really ethnic or cultural in that way. Like I don't feel that I need to it amplified that I'm Vietnamese, and I don't think we need to amplify that she's Chinese. Our music isn't, because it's horror, carnival, music themed. I don't think it needs to touch on cultural, but there's definitely a lot of, I would say, for me, just my value systems definitely come from some of my cultural background. You know what I mean? But generally, I mean, like, even just like, fuck you, the song title is definitely anti my culture. Okay, my culture will probably cringe, because Vietnamese, I mean, the Vietnamese culture, traditionally old school, girls don't speak loudly. We don't hug in public. It's very proper, in Vietnam, like old school. But American Vietnamese women, they're, and I think it's a little bit more conservative. I would definitely say they're definitely more conservative, the Asian culture. But there's the other side of it. You've got Asian porn and fucking Asian pedophilia and shit like that. That's crazy shit. You know what I mean? My mom and I've talked about that shit. And I fucking can't stand pedophilia. I'm a victim of that. You know what I mean? From age 6. So it's definitely, it's a disgusting thing for me. And this is, again, back to spirituality. Some of you will see these little hints of my spirituality in some of these songs. One of them is called Soul, and I say there's a chant in it, the song Soul. It's a Southern style metal song, but it's you walk with no purpose. You took it for granted. You played with the fire. You fucked with the chosen. So that's chanted in that song. And then the doll comes in and says, it's time to take your soul. So, she just comes in, it's time to take your soul. She just comes in there sweetly, sinister, wicked, creepy. She comes in there and just sings it really pretty. It's time to take your soul, because I do feel this album for me is definitely an awakening of a spiritual level of mine that has said, I know who's got my back on a spirit realm. I know I'm a chosen one. I do. And I know that sounds crazy to some, but some of you understand what I'm talking about. And I definitely am protected. And I'm definitely doing some work. I'm definitely doing the work here. And I'm going to protect those who need to be protected. And those who violate that, I don't have to do shit. They will receive what they will receive. That's all I got to say. That's all I got. I mean, this thing's an inferno, so I think you all understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, I am divinely protected because I know my heart is pure. So anybody or anything that violates me has consequences. That's all I know. And I can tell you that. I know. You can call me a crazy lady. You can call me, I've had, maybe my tweaking days is still lingering somewhere. It could be. I'll take it. But it is what it is.
Yeah. And then, like,
it is what it is. Huh?
But yeah, going into like the just the vocaling style of like your stuff like that too, especially like, if anybody who has listened to the first 2 albums and or, listened to the diary and stuff like that, just from me personally listening to the single for the Fuck Off, it's such a completely different vocaling style of you where you could tell it's definitely a Raven Black song still, but it's still, talk about that, like changing your vocals sort of to differently how you're portraying your vocals in this album versus vocally in the other albums.
Yeah, I mean, so the first album, because we were so new and just so excited about becoming a band and working with Ulrich Wilde and just, oh my God, we're recording our first album. I think that album was a lot, more, I guess you would say shyer about my vocals, less a little bit more insecure, more vulnerable. When I listen back to it, And then you go to like the second album, 13, where I was like, okay, I'm comfortable with this. I'm having fun. And, definitely shows in 13 and, all those fun songs. And then you take it to the key where it was like, you can just tell it's a little bit more mature. Like I was like, all right, now I'm going to show you a little bit of more flavor of what I can do and some of my black metal influences and some of the things that like the gothic, more alternative side of myself that's a little bit darker, a little bit more mature. But this album, vocally, I no fucking holding back. I went in with whatever the lyrics are, the feel of the song, and the message of the song, and let my emotions dictate what vocal I was going to use. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna do this or that. It was okay. Fuck you. There was sarcasm, there's anger, there's resentment, there's a little bit of revenge, emotions in there. There's sinistry, there's there's fight in that. So the delivery of that, I always do layers, as you guys know. I always do layers in my vocals, and it's all me. So I definitely knew fuck you needed a scream or a growl, for the chorus. I did 3 layers of growls for that. So they're all blended, of course, but they're all me. And I think Ryan might even actually have a piece of it in that layer, where with his Cookie Monster deep fucking guttural growl. But it just makes the chorus bigger and just more fun. But then I sing it too, because my whole thing was, when you take a lyric like fuck you in the metal community and you take 10 bands, they'll all probably all do the same thing, right? Everyone's going to go, fuck yeah, right? And then I said, well, then it becomes played out, right? It becomes boring because it becomes cookie cutter and it becomes played out. Yes, metal music can become cookie cutter. So I was like, I'm not a cookie cutter. I refuse to use these cookie cutters. And so I threw them off the fucking kitchen counter, and I go, how do I say fuck you that's different than everybody else? Right? So, of course, the growls are there in many different layers. And I have, my childhood little rascals voice. And I call my inner child, my inner little boy, tomboy, that used to play with my 2 brothers. I have 2 brothers. And, as kids, that's who I played with, my brothers. So his name is Dudley. I call him Dudley because the voice just sounds like a dud. Like, dude, dud. And Dudley's voice is like this. So, like, I always talk like this, and he's Dudley. So I decided that Dudley was going to be a part of this whole album because he's a part of me that I've kept hidden, the tomboy side of me, not all dressed up in pigtails and a doll dress and all that, but just me being a kid, calling you a fucker or, farting on you or, just being a jokester. And I miss that side of myself. And again, like I said, this whole awakening after my dad passed really made me see all the parts of myself that I've lost touch with, and Raven's Diary was just the healing part of it, the grieving, loss, sorrow part of it. And now this is, wow, I miss myself so much. I miss that kid that, would jump around and just be like, oh, fuck you, like, or you motherfucker, just fun and just kind of like no holding back. Like if somebody had jumped my older brother when we were in elementary school, and they jumped him, 2 boys jumped my older brother. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was 7 or 8 years old, but I just jumped on top of him, grabbed his hair and just started shaking his head and get off my fucking brother. And I was like, where's that in me? What happened to that part of me? And I'd like to happily say I have gotten in touch with that part of myself again. And I love it. And I was like, man, and I think just in society and trying to fit in and trying to be accepted and being a musician and trying to become a successful band, I think you start to like even though you say you don't try to fit in or try to mold yourself to be likable or popular or whatever, I think I still fell into that trap a little bit. Not as much as most, just a little bit. And I fought it the whole way, you know what I mean? But I think there was still a part of me that still cared about, well, let's not say bad words, or like, let's not do that, or let's not be too this, or, you know, so that we could be successful.
Yeah.
But honestly, throughout this whole grieving process and throughout this whole awakening, I realized something that is more important to me than making it as a successful man is being true to myself, being authentic, being all of me. You know what I mean? My whole self, not what people want to see. And yeah, I already knew some people, we will lose fans over having explicit lyrics. We will lose fans for me having 666 all over the next video that's coming out. You know what I mean? We're going to lose fans for, you know, my torture box song, because I'm talking about torturing someone and keeping them alive and feeding them themselves. You know, it's beautiful to me, because in a sense, that's what I wish could be done to some people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah. Let's say, yeah, us in here at Vampire and Devil podcast, we love torture and we love feeding people to themselves. But yeah, I mean, one thing that I was gonna actually talk to you about too, and you mentioned briefly about it, for Fangs and the Infernos that might not know your music as well. You talked about working with Ulrich Wilde. I mean, and you know, working with him, you know, his pedigree of the bands that he's worked with, I mean, just, you know, is insane. I mean, just off the top of the list of, like, you know, White Zombie, you know, doing the White Zombie albums. How was it like, you know, working with him, and especially working with him, because if people don't realize, you worked with him on the very first album as well.
We've worked with him on every album.
Yeah, on every album. So like I said, so to work with such an iconic producer on your debut album to all the albums now, how is it like working with like someone like with his pedigree?
Exactly that. Working with someone with his pedigree is I can't even explain his brilliance, his guidance. You know, just he pushes me, and he always finds a way to bring out the best of me. So like when I'm uncertain and I'm afraid to do this, he goes, do it and then do it again and do more. You know, and I'm like, okay. So like I'll deliver something, let's just say like, um, I'm not that fucking nice, right? I'm not that fucking nice. And he'll go, okay, say it 4 more times and go crazy. Act like a psycho bitch. I'm not that fucking nice. I'm not that fucking nice. Like and I would not think to do it 3 or 4 times, but he will push me to do it, and he'll record all of the takes and somehow blend them or take the best ones or it's like he pushes me until he hears me do the one. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and I have to say, I've grown so much as an artist because of working with him. And I think that had I worked with anyone else, I would never have found the true inner voice that I have. My true voice is what I call it. I think a lot of artists tend to stay and mimic other artists. Like it's a safe zone. Oh, well, if I sound like Maria Brinker, if I sound like, then I sound good. You know, I'm in the right vicinity, right? So it sounds good. I feel safe. Whereas with me, Ulrich has always encouraged me, your true voice, your unique voice. Even if it sounds crazy, it's yours. And that's what's going to make you stand out. And, you know, you think about the greats, you know, Alice in Chains. I mean, like, you know, David Bowie, you know, like their voice was very unique, right? Like you can hear it out of a whole crowd, right? Like it's like, well, that's what he aimed for me to find in myself. And I don't think working with any other producer would I have accomplished that. So definitely Ulrich And I don't say he influences in a way, he doesn't tell us what to do. He just gives us moments that encourage us to find it, I guess you could say. You know what I mean? And he never censors me whatsoever. And I love that. A full artist creativity, like full creative development. Just, he's like, well, try it. Okay. Well, you want to do the Dudley voice. Okay. And I mean, how many takes did I do of a Dudley growl in the studio on this album? I was like, dad, 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 dad. And he's like, okay, just keep going until you feel the right one and tell me which one you like. And I was like, okay. So, but the patience it takes for him to wait until I hit the one that I wanted for that part, that's huge. I know some people have worked with producers where they just go in there like, okay, that sounds great. Let's do it again. And you just kind of walking through it like cattle. You know what I mean? Like there's no direction. There's no guidance really. But again, I haven't worked with a different producer, so I can't really say for myself personally. I've worked with 2 other producers, but, like it wasn't like that. So this is why people have asked me, why don't you work with somebody else? Oryx asked me, you should work with somebody else. But I think he was joking. He was like, yeah, you can if you want to. And I go, no, because I also think when you've worked with somebody for a long time, there's a certain magic to that too, because they know you, and they know what your limits are, and they know to push you over the edge sometimes, so you can accomplish what it is you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's the same thing with it's the same thing with like movies. Like we were talking about Tim Burton, I mean, him using a lot of the same same actors like Johnny Depp for a while and all that stuff like that. It's like, well, yeah, people are all even with Rob Zombie with his stuff, why he always works with certain actors. It's like, well, yeah, he knows how those actors are going to be, and he has like, especially with someone like, I would imagine Tim's that way, but at least as far as I know, as far as Rob, it's been known that he's like basically a perfectionist and he sees it exactly how he wants to, and he's been known as being kind of like an asshole director, but like in the sense of he's an asshole director because he wants this to look how and see how it was, so he kind of pushes people to a certain level. And obviously if he was that big of a dick, a lot of these actors wouldn't keep coming back again. They're like, oh yeah, he may push us a little bit, but it brings out the best in us, so that's why we keep going back to him.
Well, we're also lucky. Ulrich is definitely not an asshole. He's chill as fuck and so easy to work with. And I can't. But honestly, the truth is, I can't imagine myself working with anyone else on my music. Because my music is weird. I'm fucking weird, and he gets me. He gets what Raven Black is about. He gets everything about it. The story, the sound, the message, the everything. He understands all of it. And I think what other producer can do that?
Yeah.
What other producer can do that for me? My weird shit. I'm a fucking weirdo. I'm so fucking weird. I always have been. I always will be. I kind of put it out there so many times, like, I'm not for everyone, man. But those who love me, I'll love you back. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's just how, that's how, as far as like, with the podcast and stuff like that, that's what we like to do about this. It's like,
Yeah.
we like, especially when we do like our stuff, like when we do our like verses and stuff like that, and we'll have like a category, like we can do like werewolves or something like that, like we did. And yeah, we could go with the niche, top of the movies that everybody knows, like, American Werewolf in London versus like The Howling or something like that. But we like to like kind of keep it towards the odder ones once in a while, and like the weirdos and stuff like that. Because like, everybody and their mother, if they're going to talk about werewolf movies, they're always going to talk about these big ones. So it's like, why not talk about something that most people aren't going to talk about? So that's what I said, here at our podcast, just like the Craft said, we are the weirdos. We are the weirdos. We accept all the weirdos, and some weirdos are weirder than others, and some might, be weirder in different things, and stuff like that, but it's all the same thing, like you said with the comics and stuff like that. It's like I never really, always been like, okay, yeah, you're a comic book nerd, or you're a D&D nerd, or you're in that. And that was like growing up. I've always kind of just been like a combination of everything. It's like, I was, into sports too, but I'm into
Yeah.
comic books, but I'm into horror movies, but I'm into like weird music, and I'm into skateboarding, and I'm into this. It's like,
Yeah.
it's good to have a little bit more than just like, I only like this and stay in
Correct.
your bubble. It's like,
You
go
know what's
outside the bubble. The world is better than outside the bubble.
Yeah. You know what's really funny about the metal community is like I I I look at it, people metal heads like a lot of metal heads always talk shit about the pop world or mainstream, right? Like they're so fucking fake, it's so generic, blah 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 blah, right? It's like so trendy, blah blah. It's fucking boring, right? And then if you listen to like some of the top metal artists right now, you know, like like I think about it like, so if you took this song and you put it to this band and you swap these songs to this band, okay, each band can perform the song, right? Like, wouldn't that be considered generic? The
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
Saying like I'm just saying in general, like, and then you
Oh
think,
yeah.
and then there's like this, well, you can't be signed because you're just too weird. We don't get it. Like the makeup and the theme and the car, like we don't get it. How's that marketable? It's too weird. But you're saying this in the metal world. Metal and punk has always been fucking weird. What fucking metal world do you live in? You know what I mean? You're turning metal into a mainstream thing by doing that. Metal, to me, growing up, metal and punk, alternative music in general, was always the world of the misfits, the world of the weirdos, the world of makeup and masks and fucking goth fucking raves and like sinister bars and vamp fucking shit. Like this, it's always been that dark community world, right? Like Kiss. I mean, let's just look at Kiss. I, like, so where did it go from? I mean, can we not admit that Kiss is an icon of what metal music is?
Oh, sure.
The beginning of it, like a Kiss, Sabbath. Like let's just go way back, right? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Not mainstream.
Oh yeah. Look at people
How about
Iggy Pop and stuff like that. That
no,
stuff
that's
was
okay,
just
but
so
so you
weird.
take a. I mean, even if you go okay, and then you get into the era of like Slayer, Anthrax and all that stuff, right? Again, everybody had their own thing, right? Then you got to Metallica, and that was the first thing that probably broke into the mainstream world, right?
Yeah.
Right. But again, not everybody wants to sound like Metallica. Not everybody can be Metallica. That's a different time and era, right? But I'm saying now, though, is metal, the top metal, turning into mainstream?
Yeah, I
You know,
mean, people always bitch about it. Like the main thing that I always talk about, whether you like the band or not, I've always been a fan of them just because they're so unique and his vocals are so weird, and a lot of people can't stand it. But Knocked Loose, because his vocals are really weird, screaming, where he sounds like a kid taking a tantrum. But people were bitching, oh, he was on Kimmel or something like that. I'm like, dude, that's awesome to see something like that on Kimmel. I
I
mean, the
was happy.
greatest thing in the world, right, that we had last year was Gojira playing at the fucking Olympics. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a metal band playing on the biggest stand where billions of people are watching, and it's
Yes.
like it's cool as shit to have that.
Dang. So like you have to think, has Chapel Roan has Gaga become more metal than the actual top metal fucking bands of today? I
Yeah.
think so. Because they're weirder and more misfitty and more unique. They have taken over what we should have preserved as ours. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That was ours. That was our world, to be the misfits and the weirdos and, you know, the leather and lace and fucking makeup and big hair and crazy costumes and crazy. That was our world. And the mainstream was boring and cookie cutter and, you know, right? Um, but they've taken that over now in a high level production and in mass audiences worldwide. They've taken it. So now our metal world, the top of our top metal world right now, is going to be the same and stagnant forever.
Yeah.
We let it go. We let it get penetrated. We didn't protect it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
One of the
there's bands
one of,
like the Black Veil Brides that I will die on the hill for. Like,
yeah.
love them. I still do to this
But
day.
Black Veil Brides now is not our top fucking metal band anymore.
No, they're not. The
Yeah.
funny thing is, our top metal band right now, if I'm really being honest right now, is probably Falling in Reverse.
Well, yeah, because Ronnie don't give a shit. Look at Ronnie's mixing genre. He has the power to do it. I
Right.
know Ronnie don't give a fuck what genre you think he's supposed to be or what, if he can't fucking spit raps and, oh, call me wannabe anime. Remember all that shit? Like,
Oh, I remember, yeah.
fuck what you call me. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. And he does it brilliantly because he's a talented motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is that guy is actually, no, I don't care what anybody fucking says about him. Yeah, he can be a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Right? But think about where he's at. He has to be a dick to some degree because he's got to continue to do what he wants to do. Right? Yeah. But like, Ronnie is actually very talented. I've seen him sit at a fucking piano and just fucking rip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Homeboy is fucking talented.
Yeah. Falling in Reversed and Ghost are probably the two bands in the metal world that I would probably say are the two biggest bands right now.
Yeah, and Ghost, huge production.
Yep.
Theatrical. So like for me, I look at it like theatrical bands, weird bands that are up and coming should be at the forefront, not these fucking generic mainstream metal bands.
Yeah.
That are just boring and cookie cutter, because you're killing the fucking metal community, the metal world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be the weird fucking ghosts and fucking, you know, like the ones that stand up, that's doing something unique that falls in line with the vein of what metal and punk was when it started, which is the misfits and the weirdos.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
that's what
I'm sorry, but there's a lot of big bands that are just generic and boring as fuck to me.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was just talking about.
Fan. I'm just like,
Yeah.
what happened to metal music? You know what I mean? With all the cool fucking theatrics and like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
even Cooper is still doing theatrical shit to this day.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was just talking about too, because I did speaking of people like that, I did a, review for Marilyn Manson's new album, and I really dig it because it's fucking awesome. And I'm like, the kids now need to see Marilyn Manson. Like, now that he's on the up and he's doing good and he looks good, he sounds good, the kids now need to see Marilyn Manson like he did it back in the 90s.
Fucking
those big, huge productions. He needs to take back that seat where he was the king of shock rock, and he needs to do that again and let these kids see, oh, they think this guy's being edgy or that's edgy. You haven't seen edgy until you see a Manson show.
Oh yeah.
Old school Manson shows.
Yeah. I mean, I watched Manson since the Sunset Strip days when he was nobody. And, well, I forgot his band's name.
Spooky Kids. Yeah, back in the Spooky Kids.
Right? And he was skinny as a fucking rail. You know what I mean? He had his hair partly shaved. You know, he wore guy liner and fucking smeared lipstick, and that was about it. You know, and before he started doing the cross-dressing stuff, like, this was just him in fucking black skinny fucking leggings, you know, that were ripped or something. I mean, it was very goth. It was definitely the goth scene of LA. But yeah, I mean, before he became famous and all that. But that's what like the shit I enjoyed to go see. You know what I mean? Like at a personal. And I think that's why Raven Black is kind of stuck to that theatrical piece, because that's what I loved, growing up in music. And like now I look at it, I'm like, okay, so like it's just right now the biggest thing is what? A chick who's pretty and can sing and scream, and that's pretty much it. That's the biggest band we have right now.
Yeah.
In metal. And not to say anything against Courtney. I love Courtney and I love Spirit Box. I love her energy. I love what she stands for. And I'm super proud that we're even in the fucking Grammys. You know what I mean? Like metal in general. But I'm hoping, and that's the other thing that upsets me, is like these Maria Brinks and Courtneys and all the stuff, Poppies of the world. Like, dude, you're not bringing up the rest of your metal community.
Yeah.
Look at Gaga, look at Madonna, look at fucking Beyonce's pulled up everybody in their world, right? Like all the pop stars know each other, all the pop stars pull each other together and just dominate the fucking pop world, right? But we don't have that same sisterhood or whatever. We don't.
Yeah.
I have said for years that one of the biggest things that really does drive me crazy about the metal community is I do think we are our own worst gatekeepers.
That's what I'm saying. It's stupid. Yeah. We fucked up. We fucked it up. They fucked it up at the top. The top has fucked it up. And because they're gatekeeping, there's never going to be new, you know what I mean? New upcoming bands to take over the torch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like even using Kiss as an example, because this is something I've talked about. Devil and I have talked about this. I've talked about this on other shows. Is I went to Kiss's last tour. Me and Mrs. Vamp went together when they played Baltimore right before the farewell shows in New York. And the opening band was a band called Amber Wild. Very good, young band, had only been around since January. Played great, sang great, solid show. Definitely very enjoyable. Here's the problem. That was Paul Stanley's kid.
Yeah.
That was his kid's band. And look, that's cool. I'm not knocking Evan for whose loins he came out of. That's not fair to him.
Yeah.
But when Kiss on this gigantic farewell tour could have brought some young bands really up with them, or given them the opportunity to be like, hey, we're going to bring you out. It's your job not to fuck it up after we give you this
exposure to continue the legacy of metal music,
the
metal world. You know, like it's,
I mean, that's what I said. Like even like, but when you had at the time David Draymond from Disturbed. Disturbed at the time was one of the biggest metal bands. They were huge, blowing up, and then he went. He did his Device thing, and people were like, oh, this band's gonna be super huge and all that. And he's like, even talks about in the album, he's like, just because I was huge in this one band doesn't make sure this other band's gonna be big. I still have to work my ass off on this. And it goes to show, I mean, Device didn't last very long.
Nope.
I mean, think about what would happen to Raven Black if I went on tour with Manson right now. Game changer.
Yeah.
Why isn't anybody doing that?
I will say the one band.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. There's.
Like, you think your fans won't enjoy our show for 30
minutes?
Yeah,
I mean that's why people always bitch about the community too. But look at I mean I know he's country now, but he used to be a rapper. But look at Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
Huge, and he brings so many people on stages that you didn't know who their name was, and he's all about hyping up whatever he can hype up and blowing people up. And it's like, because he knows he's been at that bottom for so long that nobody gave a shit about him, and now that he's got a platform, he's like, I'm gonna use this platform.
I'm never gonna be this big huge band, right? But like if I had made it, I would have done the same. I would have.
Yeah.
I do it on my level with my DIY friends. I brought them on, they didn't have as much tour experience or whatever, but I brought them out so that they can gain more fans from the Rejects. And a lot of them that now have a bunch of Rejects fans on their page. And I'm happy about that. It's on a smaller scale, but I still contributed. I still did what I should do. Right. Because there's always there's always the underdogs underneath you, right? Like no matter where you go, as I rise, they'll rise, and we got to just keep doing that, and that's how it's always been. But somehow, right now there's this side of the fence and this side of the fence, and everybody new is on this side of the fence. We're fucked.
Yeah.
They're all just staying up there like, oh, we're just gonna stay here until we can't anymore. They don't fucking know how to bring up the next generation.
Yeah.
It's insane to me. Like, and I'm here, I mean, you know, said or not said, and I could be just fucking talking shit. I don't know. I might be wrong. Is Hailstorm sitting here going, how did Spirit Box get nominated for Grammy and not me?
Yeah.
Hailstorm's been doing kicking ass. It's just fucking for how long now?
Yeah.
Never been in Grammys. What the fuck is happening? Who's pulling strings? Like, and I'm not, like I said, this is no, I love Courtney. I love Spirit Box. But dude, like there's definitely, you know what I mean? There's, you got it. You know, Maria, in this moment, Hailstorm, fucking even, you know, they've been around a long time. What?
Yeah. You're definitely there's one band right now that I've been really loving watching how scrappy and committed to their art form they were when I saw them at Angels Rock Bar with fucking only 20 people there. And now I've seen them ascend to multiple tours, opening up for Marilyn Manson. Their fans are rabid as fuck. They're very Rejects-ish, you know. And that's a band called The Funeral Portrait, who I absolutely love.
I asked my agent to find some way for me to tour with what's his name? Is it Leo?
Lee Jennings.
Lee, yeah.
Yeah.
So my agent knows him, and I go, he's up and coming and going somewhere, and he's just so genuine.
Yes.
And I said, I don't care if it's a buy-on. I will tour. I want to tour with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I said, when we first saw them, you know, I mean, like I said, musically, they're not typically 100% all the music that I like, but they were such a fun band to see and had such a fun show, and just you can just tell the energy. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go past like, and then I started liking their music more. I'm like, oh, okay, now I like them more.
Shared with his bandmate side stage. Did you see that little clip that he shared where he was like, dude, yeah, this is really happening. Like they couldn't. And I was like, that was such a tender moment because I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I've been there. What he just clipped, you know, like I was like, when we were out with like fucking Cradle or, you know, I was like, I had that moment too, you know, and I was like, it's a surreal moment to share with your bandmate, like that you're there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ever. Buy-ons are getting really, really like up there now. They're up there now. And I get it because the economy fucking sucks. But, you know, it's worthy. I mean, that's the only way up and coming bands can get a ride to the exposure. Yeah. I mean, I guess you just invest in it, in yourselves, and go that route. But like I said, I feel like the metal world as a community is it's stuck. It's bottlenecked and stuck, and it's really sad because there's no torch passing at all.
Yeah.
You know, and not saying like pass the torch to me, but in general, just pass the fucking torch, you know?
No, for sure.
Bring some fucking bands out.
Because I also love the unapologetic nature of those guys as well, very much in the vein of a Ronnie Radke, of a Raven Black, that type of, you know, band that's very like, no, this is what we do. We're proud, and we will, you know, jam that flag in the top of the hill. Because I remember very well when the photo, for lack of a better term, went viral of the two members of Funeral kissing on stage, and everybody got in this uproar about it, and they made a T-shirt out of it. Straight up, they were like, fuck y'all. They made a t-shirt about it, sold 1 million of those t-shirts, and just kept doing their thing, and their grind's been paying off since. And I'm so stoked because they were opening up. Devil was right there with me. They were opening up for Davey Suicide, who have been longtime friends of ours. And so we were out to support our buddies, and I'd heard about this band, and I was interested because they kind of had this, as I've always said, this kind of gothic Fall Out Boy sound to them. And that's up my alley. I enjoy that sound. And I watched their set, and I never looked back. I was like, these guys are fantastic. And I haven't gotten a chance to
energy. They seem like just a fun group of guys that are just like great friends that are having a fucking time of their life. Davey's coming out with a new album. He's working on a new album.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Davey and I have, it's like coming up at the same time, from 2013. And it was like every single time we're like, yeah, we should go out together, because it's like I wanted to do the one that I talked to him about way back was, let's call it the Jack and Jill, the Jack and Jill Massacre Tour.
Nice.
Because he's Jack and I'm Jill, right? It's something kind of like that, like a brother and sister kind of thing, right? Like, let's go fucking do a Jack and Jill like murder tour. We're gonna go kill people or whatever. And he dug it. But then we better do support tours. All right, yeah. So we both did that. And then it was like at the hiatus. I know he had issues with his record label or whatever. And then like that went into hiatus, and it's been a long time. Then he was doing his tattoo runs, which I know he's doing another one. But I saw an announcement that they're working on a new album. So I'm like, finally, I have a new album. We maybe need to go out next year together.
Yeah.
Let's do this overdue Jack and Jill.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to the metal world, what we really, really need is we need another Ozzy Osbourne. And with him and Sharon, with the vision of making Ozfest, that brought up so many big bands, but so many small bands that were on those side stages that are now big bands now that nobody knew who they were, like a Disturbed and like a Slipknot.
Don't know how to pass the torch or bring in what I call the Metal Olympics. They don't know how to do it. Yeah. They're not about doing it. And I honestly blame it on the record labels. A lot
of it has to do with the money.
The old school labels knew how to group people together and create this massive industry impact. Whereas these new record labels, they're just kind of like, well, we just got to recoup our money on this artist. It's like, and it's like, think bigger, dude. Who's really good at thinking big is the fucking festival owners.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that are keeping the metal festivals metal, or like at least big, and bringing, and that's, I mean, let me tell you about, we're playing Rockfest. I never in a million years thought we'd even be asked.
And that's a big festival and a really cool festival. I've seen a lot of good bands on that.
Weird to ever even look that direction. You know what I mean? Like, we're just too weird and underground and all this shit, but hopefully we'll make fans. Maybe we're not too weird. I don't know. Maybe people will like weird. I don't know. I'm sure there's weird people in the crowd, so I'm sure some of them will like us. You know what I mean? But it's not a fucking killer show, so it doesn't matter.
Speaking of weird festivals and stuff like that, because I know you guys have been on it before and stuff like that. And I know, when you talk about this group, there's people on both sides of the story that don't like it or don't like them or blah, blah, blah. But, you can't you can't say within the last 20, 30 years that they haven't been influential in the music industry, love them or hate them, talking about ICP and playing the Juggalo Gathering. I mean, like I said, Raven Black works so perfect with that, because like the Rejects, the Juggalos are another group of people who are just outsiders, and they love all kinds of, I mean, there's metal bands, rap bands, ska bands that played. It's not just strictly just like ICP.
We've played twice the Gathering, and we've played Halloween, we've played Bloody Sunday. We're definitely very well, in the ICP world, in the Juggalo scene, and we do have a lot of Juggalo fans. I don't know, how they do their booking. They didn't book us this year. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. So maybe they have us reserved for a Hollow Wicked or a Bloody Sun. I have no idea. Last year, I mean, we got the offer a week before Hollow Wicked, so I don't know how they work. And ICP's ICP, so like I just wait. They just know that when they call me and they ask my agent, "Are we available?" We just make ourselves available because
Yeah.
we're always down for Juggalo. Like we're always down. We'll always be a part of ICP, the love of it. So that's just the way it is, and they know it. So it's like, call us when you need us. We'll be there. And that's always going to be that way with the Juggalo scene. So, but I think once "Fuck You" comes out and maybe some of the other songs, I think they're going to be like, okay, we need Raven Black next year at the
Yeah.
gathering.
Well,
I'm hoping that happens. But like, I don't know. They like to change things up too. Keep things fresh. Maybe
yeah.
they're trying to bring some new metal bands into the scene.
Yeah, it's just funny though too, because I've talked about that with these festivals and stuff like that, and some festivals not working out very well, and some festivals being good. And I was like, not saying that they haven't had their problems with within the festival itself, but I was like, as much as you guys want to talk about them and call them quote unquote clowns, they run a really good festival. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
yeah.
It's as far as festivals have been, it's always been like, you have your
It's
hiccups.
nothing compared to the gathering. I mean, it's just its own thing. It's its own special thing. Um, there's a right now on tour is Kim Dracula. Do you guys like Kim
Yeah,
Dracula?
yeah. I'm
I
hoping to cover them this week,
I
next week.
dig him so much. I just started following him. I want to tour with that guy. I want to tour with him so much. And he's out with Hannahby right now, and I'm like,
Yeah,
why Hannah? I mean, and I like I actually follow Hannahby.
yeah, they're
So
pretty cool.
I like Hannahby. I also follow XG, which is like a hip hop
Yeah,
Japanese. But I love XG. I'm like a fucking XG fanatic, just so you know. So, but like Hannahby's out with them, and I'm like, why didn't they bring us out with Hannahby and fucking Kim Dracula? Bring a U.S. band with you on a U.S. tour. I'm like, I don't understand. Why is it only, like I don't get it. I don't get it.
yeah.
But you know, but again, it's they don't know of us. I mean, I have been out of it for a few years, right? So maybe I need to. Well, and I think that's what Ulrich said. Ulrich said, you know what? I think you've been out of it for a couple years because you went on your hiatus, which was needed. But I think we'll clear things up a little bit with the first release. Like, oh, Raven Black's still around. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, because I mean,
And they're
you're
still
like,
a metal band. They're still a theatrical metal band.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I think it was. I mean, it is what it is. We haven't put out new music since Hear Me Cry, since This Is Halloween, the cover. You know what I mean? When you take time away, this is what happens. You kind of have to like let people know, no, we're still here. We're still, we're still doing shit. So hopefully, I mean, at the end of the day, I already kind of put it out there that Muppet and I and Maisie, we wanted to balance our lives a little bit better. 2023, we did 5 tours, one in Mexico. It killed us, like just financially, physically, mental, everything. It was just like tired, exhausted. And we said, we just don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to be out on the road all year long away from home anymore. Those days are done. We're going to do like 1 tour a year, a few festivals. That's what we want to do. And that way we have a life. You know what I mean? So that's how it's going to go going forward. We all are on the same page with that. That way we can have other things. And like Brian are like, wouldn't it be nice to go on vacation to like Ireland or like to Hawaii just for like a week? Like just the 2 of us just sightseeing. Like it would be so nice. And the thing is, when you're grinding and fucking touring all year, you can't. It's not that you can't afford to go on vacation. You just spend all your fucking money on touring.
Yeah.
Like I just don't want to do that anymore. So we're like, okay, we're gonna do a vacation and 1 tour. You know what I mean? We're gonna just balance our life a little bit more for us, for ourselves. I was like, well, I'm getting older. I want to see the fucking world. I want to go to Europe and go on vacation. You know what I mean? For a week or 2. Like I want to see shit. You know what I mean? I want to go through the fucking haunted vaults in Scotland. Like I want to fucking see that shit in real life. So yeah. So everything costs money. So we're like, okay, part of our budget goes to music. Part of our budget goes to like our own personal life. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's healthier for us, you know. So yeah, so the whole like momentum of a new band trying to make it, like those days are over for me. You know, we're just who we are. We love what we do. This album is fucking dark as fuck. Be prepared. It's weird. You know, there's two ballads. One is definitely falls into the Diary album. But I wanted it on this album because of its dark nature. But it was just a little darker than what Raven's Diary was about. So it's called Past Due, and it's the Me Too movement, you know, because you all know, if you've read my book, I've been molested, I've been raped, and I've never really, other than in my book, talked about it. But it's a song called Past Due because it's past due for me to speak up about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I put that song in there, and right after Past Due is I think the song Burn.
Nice.
Wait, is it? I think so. I think I put right after Past Due because it was a ballad, and then it goes into, I think, Burn. And Burn is burn, skin the evil, burn, souls to die, burn, we will feed you, burn. Yeah, we will feed you, burn. Yeah, I think that's the lyrics. That's the chorus. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome for sure. And so, Raven, as we bring towards the end, because we don't want to eat up all of your evening, because you've been absolutely super gracious with your time for this interview, we're circling one more time to, you've got Fuck You single coming out very soon. Can you let the Fangs, the Infernos, and the Rejects know, is there currently a release date announced for the album?
So right now the album is available on pre-order, and there's a link all over our Facebook pages and Instagram. And the first single is dropping this Thursday, the 13th, of course. And it'll be everywhere for streaming at midnight. So Spotify, Amazon, and the link, we have a link tree link there, so you can, all of the different streaming services are listed there. But obviously we want you guys to stream it on Spotify if you're a Spotify person, because those numbers really matter. Not because we make a lot of money on it, haha, but because that first week, the first 7 days, the more streams Spotify sees happening, the more likely they will add us to their official editorial list. So when that happens, it goes viral to like many different. If we make it on this editorial list, it then like opens doors to other editorial lists for the metal scene. So, you know, whether it's the metal charts or female metal or brutal metal or newest discovery or whatever it is that Spotify does. But those first 7 days is critical. When they see their algorithms, like, hey, what's going on over here? There's a lot of activity going on over here. What's this? And they go click on it. They're like, oh, okay, let's add this because a lot of people like this and it's interesting. So let's push this one. So the first 7 days, and that's what a lot of people don't know, why we push Spotify so harshly. Because the editorial list is really which gives us a bigger reach worldwide for a lot more people to hear our song.
Right on. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, right down to you, Devil.
Yeah, you know, this is going to be a personal question, just because I'm just gonna do it because I want to know, you know, with the albums that you have the 3 albums that are out now, not including the Raven's Diary. You have the new album out. It's a lot of songs to put onto a set list. What are the chances of the Blackening being on any of those set lists? Because every time I keep on missing it, and more songs you add, the more songs I get pushed away from it.
So Blackening will probably be played. If we do the Halloween show, we'll probably, because I think with the Halloween show, if we're either the direct support or the main headliner, we'll probably be playing an hour set, and we'll probably take 1 or 2, of our old catalog along with the new songs. So we'll probably definitely be playing Carnival for sure, because I think that's like the huge fan favorite. And then we were either going to do Twinkle, Dollhouse, or Blackening. So those are the other favorites, right? And everybody is like, "What are you going to perform?" Nobody's. But I was like, hey, we can't do a cover song on our set list. We just can't. We just can't unless it's an encore. We usually will do that as an encore. But definitely, yeah. So. But what I'm thinking about doing next year is I am going to try to plan, because with the podcast and I'll be set up, is I may do a couple of acoustic sets of some of our songs turning acoustic right in our living room. So that'll be kind of fun, because Blackening was written acoustically, actually. So it sounds really cool on like an acoustic guitar,
Yeah.
But I don't scream, so it'll just be me singing the way it was originally written. But yeah, so it's always a challenge for me to go, it feels different to not scream that, or that. But in the writing process, I usually dabble. Like, I'll go, okay, I'll sing the cleans, and then as I listen back, I'll play back and I'll go, I need to scream under there, or it needs a growl under there, or a whisper. Yeah, I feel like it needs something on that, kind of rolling with it. So but I don't know. I can't promise you that it'll be on the set list, because I just actually created this 30-minute set and the 1-hour set list yesterday for the new album.
Yeah. I mean, and then going into that too, when I've talked to a lot of bands and stuff like that, especially with the first album and Twinkle being like, the big hit from that first album, that's the first single. Do you get tired of playing that song though? Because I know sometimes some bands are like, oh man, I know we have to play it, but Jesus, I hate playing this song.
So Twinkle is my nemesis. Yes, it is. And I think a lot of bands have that. They always have that one song that fucking everybody loves, and they have to keep playing it over and over again for the rest of their lives. And Twinkle is that song for me. Yes, I have played Twinkle for 10 years, and I want to retire, but I guess I can never retire. It is a favorite. It is a. But I did retire the hula hoop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we even joke
to my shows. That hula hoop is like got a mind of its own.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I joked around whenever we saw. Now I'm freaking forgetting the name. The band that did Mr. Roboto, Styx. When Styx toured like 2 or 3 years ago, they ended with Mr. Roboto, and everybody, usually when you get to the last song, everybody leaves the venue. I'm like, don't fucking leave. You know how it took. You could go see Styx 100 times before that tour, and maybe you were lucky to hear Mr. Roboto once. They hate playing it live. So it's like I'm like, dude, don't leave. That's the one song you want to hear, because they never play it. So it's like, that's why I said adding maybe those special songs.
Twinkle is my nemesis. Yes, Twinkle is the song. So the full album street date, full album 15 songs, Black Sonata, drops September 12th, the day after my birthday.
So you said 15 tracks on that, right?
15 songs.
Which is different than the other albums, because the other albums had
7 songs.
Certain numbers.
Yes. This has 15 songs. 15. I can't even fucking believe that we fucking wrote 15 songs and recorded 15 fucking songs on this album. But it is the Black Sonata. There is one song that I will give you guys a little sneaky peek, which is the song titled Black Sonata, which is the album title. And it's embedded in the middle of the fucking album. It's not the first song and it's not the last song. It's kind of in the middle. But Black Sonata is, if you look up the definition of what sonata is, it's a collection of sounds. So ours is Black Sonata. And if you know Moonlight Sonata, the piano piece, the classical, the song begins with that. It is a very gothic requiem, and it is a 6-minute long song. And it is the story from the comic book, the first issue, of how Raven and Muppet came to be.
Oh, it's Raven Black's Bohemian Rhapsody.
And Muppet is a featured vocalist on it.
Nice.
It's a duet. And it is a metal song, a very gothic black metal song. And it starts with the Moonlight Sonata piano. And it's the story of her death.
Ah.
So that is the little sneak peek. But it's in the middle of the album, and it is not gonna. I don't know if we're gonna release it early as a single. It all depends on the music video. So the music video artist director that I'm working with right now, he's giving me a treatment right now, so I can see the artwork to see if he can pull together the visualization I want for Black Sonata's music video. If he shows me that he can capture the essence of Muppet and I graphically, we will let him do the music video. If not, then I have to wait to find the right artist to do that animation music video. Because I want it to be animated because it's an entire story. And obviously, for Ryan and I to act that out would be too much, huge production to do that for a 6-minute song. So we have to go animation. And the things, I have to find the right animator artist to capture the essence of the song. So if I find that, then we will put it out early with a music video. If not, it will not have a music video until later.
Yeah. Speaking, I mean, going in before we leave too with the music videos and stuff like that, like, that's what I love about bands and the evolution of, like, you look at the older music videos of Raven Black all the way up to, at least I believe Hear Me Cry is the last music
Yep.
video that we've seen. That's such a visual storyline of, like, old school videos to, like, Hear Me Cry is such a beautiful video, like, just shot well. What can you say about that video versus the ones that are coming up for the Black album in comparison of how cinematic and beautiful that video was?
So Hear Me Cry obviously was a very special song about, anti-suicide and stuff, and from the Key. But this next, because of the song being Fuck You, this is going to be a totally different feel of a video. And it's just rowdier, a little bit more chaos. You know what I mean? Then you go to the next music video with Burn, the second release in April, and it's all on the 13th of every month until the street date. But the second video is an animation video, and that is, I guess you could say it's more fantasy art animation. So I kind of got in touch with my nerd self and worked with an animator, and I was like, I wanted this album, because it's such a new thing with the explicit lyrics and kind of my anger and stuff. I wanted the videos to be a fresh, like, new, fresh, interesting chaos. Not, I like being the unexpected, right? I could say that I had my Afterlifer group do a sneak peek of the preview yesterday. We did a watch party last night. And I always they're kind of like the board of directors for the Rejects, the Afterlifers. So there was 20 of them on the meeting last night for the preview. And several of them said their jaw dropped. They're picking up their jaw off the floor. This is amazing. Can't wait till the rest of the world gets to see this. I'm so very proud of you guys. This is wicked. Like, this, just all great comments. So I got the thumbs up from my board of directors, Afterlifer Rejects. So they're super, they're sworn to secrecy, no leaking of the video I sent them last night. So, but definitely, it's every video is going to be very different from anything you've seen us do.
Nice.
And we are filming in July. We are filming one of the songs, a big production music video in July 19th in Michigan at Darkside Acres, where, the haunt. That's going to be our shoot location. But we already have 30 of the rejects as extras for the music video confirmed. So you two are welcome to come and be a part of the music video.
Nice.
Or come and capture behind the scenes freaking outtake shit. I mean, for your podcast. It's not every day that everybody gets to go behind the scenes on set, for a music video, but it's going to be extremely fun. And the song is called Circus Hell, and the rejects will be starring in it. Some of the rejects, yes.
Nice.
It'll be a very fun day. It will be exhausting, and everyone's going to have a newfound respect for what it takes to film a music video and be an actor and all that wonderful stuff, and getting ready and makeup and costuming and all that good stuff. But we are going to have some vampires. We're going to have some witches, some warlocks, some zombies, and some creepy clowns in the video. So they'll all be dressed up in makeup and all that stuff for the music video shoot. So we're just starting to plan that and the logistics now for July 19th. Yeah.
Nice.
Very, very cool. That's awesome, Raven. Yeah. And before we let you go officially, please let all of the rejects, new and old, and all the fans and Infernos know where they can find Raven Black music, where they can find the new single. You touched on it, of course, and also where they can go to get Raven Black merch to support the band in any way that they can.
Great. The best place is to go to our Facebook page. I mean, that is where we are. Most of our fans are there. We're on Instagram as well, and it's just Raven Black Band, all one word, all lowercase. So if you go to Facebook, it's Raven Black Band. I'm Raven Black. It's just me in a little red dress. If you want to add yourself as a friend, I think I'm on 5,000 over limit for the last 10 years. I keep people drop off and I add more people, and people drop off and I add more people. But the Raven Black Band, please follow us. All the links are there for streaming. Look for the link tree. It is pinned at the top of our Facebook page. So you can go right to that post with the Dark Metal Carnival video. And both links are there. The store is there. The pre-order bundles link is there. The streaming link is there. Everything's going to be there. But stay tuned. Save your date for midnight, the 13th. And once that launches, it'll be posted everywhere. And both links will be there as well. So you can just click on it for easy use.
Easy use.
Yes.
Raven, thank you so much. You know how much Devil and I love you. We really appreciate you coming on the show and chatting with us for a while. It's been super fun as always, and we can never wish but anything but just onwards and upwards and continual, just great success for you, for Muppet, and for Maisie.
Thank you so much. I love you guys so much. I consider you my friends too, and I missed you so much. I wish I lived closer. We would be hanging out. We would be hanging out.
Oh yeah.
A lot if I lived closer.
Hey, absolutely. Well, you also know that me and Devil are part of we're part of the Key crew. So
yeah, exactly.
All that fun stuff. We take you with us everywhere we go. So we really.
I still haven't even gotten my key. I've been so busy and just coming back. I would say I've been coming back to life for the last 2 years. So. But even more so, I think why the darkness is darker.
Sure.
I think you will really enjoy this era of Raven Black.
I think so. I think it sounds awesome. What do you think, Devil? Sounds awesome, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't figured out a spot yet, be awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely, 100%. But again, Raven, thank you so very much for coming on the show. Fangs and Infernos, rejects alike, we appreciate you guys so very, very much. You guys rock. And thank you so much for supporting everything that myself and Devil do, and of course everything that Raven Black does as well. Devil and I want to take a second to give a shout out to, of course, our partners and sponsors of the Vampire and Devil podcast. We really appreciate their tireless efforts and everything that they do to be involved with us. And if you're interested in Vampire and Devil merch, you can go go to our very good friends at rockandhorror.com. Mark and Lizzie at Rock and Horror Apparel take care of that. So go to rockandhorror.com. It's ROCK, the letter N, and horror.com, and go to the Vampire and Devil collab, and you can get all the cool little goodies that Devil and I have to offer when it comes to that. But thank you guys so much, as always, for checking us out, checking out the interview, and rocking out with us. I'm Vampire, he's Devil, but most importantly, she is Raven Black. And we appreciate you guys. We'll see you again soon. Horns up.
Horns up.
Fangs out.